It's been a while since I've done one of these, but it's hard to resist the urge to talk about this character right now. Ed's been unleashed into the world of Street Fighter 6 for about a week now, and it's time to figure out where he stands. I'll be going over 5 in-depth categories to rank Ed's attributes and give a total score by the end. This is not a guide or tier list, but more so an overview for people looking to try out the edgy boxer for themselves. So grab your gloves and tighten your laces, cause it's time for the Ed Master Overview.
Let's go! Ring the bell! Hope you'll put up a fight!
The first category is power, and for Ed, it's an interesting case. Actually, it has been so for all of the DLCs so far. Ed can do big damage, but a lot of those situations are pretty, well, situational. For example, a lot of his best hit confirms only work if the opponent is standing. Some of his Oki tools depend on this too, as stand heavy kick and crouch medium kick both whiff on crouching opponents if they're at the wrong distance. This isn't really a big deal to Ed though, since he gets a lot out of crouching situations too. It's just important to be aware of the hit state, and I think that's a really cool caveat to add to his game plan. It makes him more complicated than a character like Luke, but that's what we've learned to expect from the DLC in Street Fighter 6 at this point. Now, to actually get to his power level, in neutral, Ed has some of the best whiff punish and punish counter game of any character, cementing a unique spot and playstyle for him among the diverse cast. Psycho Snatchers and Fireballs allow him to control space and convert into bigger damage than I think most realize at the moment. In terms of sheer output, I have found his Supers 1 and 2 to be a tad underwhelming, but that's not really a big issue since his damage up to that point is really good. He also gets damaging conversions off of lights, but they're wildly consistent at the moment, so I don't have too much more to say on that in this category specifically. In terms of power, I'd have to say Ed at the moment is hovering around B tier. It's possible he makes his way into A as we optimize more in the future. But for now, a lot of his focus seems to be setting up Oki to then get big damaging conversions. Which then leads us into our next category.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Let's go! I didn't hear any bell!
Next is defense, and like Rashid's, it's definitely Ed's weakest category by far. I guess to make up for Ed's great neutral control, his close range buttons are beyond stubby. Light Punch often whips when stuffing your opponent's offense, and it's just strange that the crouching Light Punch doesn't work well into the standing variation or special cancel. On top of that, Ed's slow DP from Street Fighter V returns with a double-digit startup, making it especially easy to safe jump. With that said, his reversal isn't best used as a get-up reversal, but rather in block strings or shimmy situation when the opponent thinks they've delayed long enough. It's also a fantastic tool to use at -2 or +2 situations since he takes so long to get there. In terms of anti-airs, Ed's got some insanely good ones depending on the situation, but players have to calculate which ones to use depending on where their opponents are. It's hard to do now as he just came out, but over time, I'm sure the anti-air presence is gonna feel similar to Dalsum's or even Sagat's. For all the reasons above, I've gotta give Ed a C- in defense. He's not failing, but he's barely passing.
We're not finished! You don't know when to quit. Told you I don't want anything to do with you losers. Get lost!
Versatility is the third category, and I've gotta say, all the DLC have really nailed this one, especially over most of the base roster. For Ed, I've been in the lab non-stop, practicing certain punishes, optimizing niche combos, and learning new properties about all his setups all the time. He's got easy safe jumps, meaty fireball setups, fantastic neutral presence, and shimmies galore. His frame data could use a little work, but I'm glad you're forced to get creative with him because it brings out some unique stuff. Kill Rush specifically is a great mechanic as it allows him to use movement itself as a mix-up, keeping the opponents guessing as to where he'll even be. Also, the follow-ups it provides in combos are actually kind of technical until you get used to it. I do think he's very versatile, but not as freeform as someone like Rashid, so that's kind of unfortunate, but still, he's up there. He'll have matchups he's gonna struggle with, and that's fine by me. A good character should have weaknesses in my book, and Ed fits that bill perfectly. With that, I give him a B+ for versatility.
So, just who are you? You working with Neo Shadowloo? Let me show you how it's done.
On the back of versatility is development potential. To define that quickly, I mean how much work will it take to feel this character out to his fullest? What is there to learn from his moves that we don't particularly understand yet? Will he seem busted in 6 months only to be called weak now? These are the kinds of things I want to figure out. I do believe Ed has a lot of potential to evolve because of factors I mentioned earlier. Players will develop new mix-ups, they'll adapt to the standing confirms, and the spacing overall will get better. As a spacing trap character, Ed thrives in making characters think his turn is over and making them press a button before they should. This timing differs against different characters though, since they all have different buttons and specials, meaning different spacing. It'll take a while for people to figure this all out. Matchups that seem bad now might not seem so horrible in 6 months. For this reason, I'm actually going to give him an S in developmental potential. I think he can be very strong, especially as a counterpick type, but he's always going to struggle against whatever top tiers are bringing to the table because of how simple their game plans are compared to his. With that said, I think there will literally always be something he can optimize or do better, so if that's your cup of tea, Ed is the character for you. Last up is my favorite category, fun factor. I'll just say it flat out, Ed is an A+ for fun in my book. Everything about him is satisfying to learn and mess around with, and I wish Capcom had released him sooner. I find myself theorizing about certain things when I'm not even playing the game, and that's a truly special thing for a character to make me feel. The transformation he has undergone since his debut in Street Fighter V honestly should be studied, because at this point, I think everyone agrees that he's cool. And that's definitely an upgrade from how cringe and edgy he felt before. Also, the fact that he has no kicks and is a dedicated boxer focused on footwork and evading the opponent's spacing is such a great way to implement his fighting style into gameplay. The developers did a really great job with this character, and I'm looking forward to playing him a lot until the next DLC drops. In fact, he might actually be a contender for my main in this game, which I haven't picked up until this point. So yeah, overall fantastic job, and that's all I've got for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.